Hey, class, welcome back. We're still talking about the Cold War, and today we're talking about Ronald Reagan, the president of the United States at the end of the Cold War. He was kind of one that put the notion in Mikhail Gorbachev's head, hey, you need to tear down the Berlin Wall. And it was towards the collapse of the Soviet Union that he was the president of the United States. Uh, he did several things as president, though. He had Reaganomics. He was beloved. Before that, he was an actor. He was a famous actor, starred in several movies before he was the president. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about his biography today. So he's, like I said, he's most known for being the president during the end of the Cold War with the Soviet Union. He's also famous for his economics policy called Reaganomics. I said that earlier, just a minute ago. And as well as being a Hollywood movie star who became president. Those are things he's most known for.
What was Ronald Reagan most known for? Ronald Reagan is most known for being president during the end of the Cold War with the Soviet Union. He's also famous for his economic policy called Reaganomics, as well as for being a Hollywood movie star who became president.
All right, so growing up, he grew up in Illinois. He lived in several small towns growing up. His father was a salesman, so they moved around a lot. His family did. As a child, his family called him Dutch because his father thought he looked like a Dutchman. He went to Eureka College in Illinois. Here's their banner, where he played sports. He was a student body president. He's on the swim team as well. So he did lots of sports and other number of other things growing up.
Ronald Reagan grew up in Illinois. He lived in several small towns growing up because his father, a salesman, moved the family around a lot. As a child, his family called him Dutch because his father thought he looked like a Dutchman. Ronald was athletic and gifted in acting. He went to Eureka College in Illinois, where he was a student body president and played a number of sports, including football and swim team.
So he got into acting and got a number of different things and landed some parts. And he's in a number of films over the next several years after he got out of college, with Newt Rockney, The All-American, King's Road, Dark Victory. His Hollywood career, though, was interrupted by World War II. He was ordered to active duty during World War II. So he spent 4 years in the Army, where he worked stateside on promotional films for the war.
Growing up continued. He appeared in a number of films over the next several years, including Newt Rockney, All-American, King's Road, and Dark Victory. His Hollywood career was interrupted by World War II, when in 1942 he was ordered to active duty. He spent the next 4 years in the Army, where he worked stateside on promotional films for the war.
All right. So as he grew older, he became more involved in politics. First, he was part of the Democratic Party, but later moved to the Republican Party because his views changed on several different things. In 1966, he ran for the governor of California. He served 2 terms as the governor of California. And in 1980, he ran for president of the United States, and he won over President Jimmy Carter.
Before he became president, as Reagan grew older, he became more involved in politics. First, he was part of the Democratic Party and then moved over to the Republicans as his views changed. In 1966, he ran for governor of California and served for 2 terms. In 1980, he ran for president of the United States and won over incumbent President Jimmy Carter.
All right. So his goal as the president was to go down in history as the president who made Americans believe in themselves again. In years prior, they had high inflation, unemployment rates were high, there were rising gas prices. Citizens were being held hostage in Iran during this time, during the Iran hostage crisis, and they'd been there for over a year. So Reagan wanted people to feel confident in their own abilities and not rely on the government to take care of everything.
Ronald Reagan's presidency. Ronald Reagan's goal as a president was to go down in history as the president who made Americans believe in themselves again. In years prior to his presidency, the United States had experienced high inflation, unemployment, and rapidly rising gas prices. In addition, several American citizens were being held hostage in Iran and had been there for over a year. Reagan wanted people to feel confident in their own abilities and to not rely on the government to take care of everything.
All right. So he wanted to try to get this economy going again. All right. So he made a number of changes to try to get employment up and inflation down. He cut taxes and a variety of government programs. At the same time, he put money into strengthening the military. Before he took office, the inflation rate was at 13.5%. 8 years later, when he left office, the inflation rate had gone down to 4%. So employment rates continued to rise over his first year and a half, but then they went on to decline. They steadily declined over the next 6 years. So, but he did a thing called, it was called Reaganomics. Reaganomics.
Reaganomics. In order to try to get the American economy moving, Reagan made a number of changes to try to get employment up and inflation down. First, he cut taxes and a variety of government programs. At the same time, he put money into strengthening the military. In 1980, a year before he took office, the inflation rate was 13.5%. 8 years later, when he left office, the inflation rate was at 4%. Unemployment rates continued to rise over his first year and a half as president, and then steadily declined over the next 6 years.
All right. So for many years, the U.S. had been in the Cold War with the Soviet Union. All right. So they'd been in it since 1945. It ended in 1991. He was the president of the United States at the end of the Cold War. So they both had the atomic bomb and were considered two superpowers of the world. So each side was scared if the other side had dropped the bomb, what would happen? So he, at the end of the Cold War, he was the president of the United States during the end of the Cold War.
The Cold War, for many years in the United States, had been what was called a Cold War with the Soviet Union. Both countries had an atomic bomb and were considered the two superpowers of the world. Each side was scared if the other decided to drop the bomb, what would happen?
All right. So when Reagan became president, he was determined, hey, I'm going to make the U.S. stronger than the Soviet Union. All right. He denounced the Soviet Union. He spent lots of money building up the military and our nuclear, or the U.S.'s nuclear arsenal.
The Cold War continued. When Reagan became president, he was determined to make the U.S. stronger than the Soviet Union. He denounced the Soviet Union and spent lots of money building up the military and nuclear arsenal.
All right. In 1985, though, Mikhail Gorbachev became leader of the Soviet Union. And Reagan, during this time, he saw an opportunity to talk to Gorbachev to have peace with the Soviet Union. So they agreed to reduce their stockpile of nuclear missiles. And Reagan, like I said, he's famous for his speech at the Berlin Wall, where he told Gorbachev, Mr. Gorbachev, or Mr. Chairman, tear down this wall. 2 years later, 1989, Berlin Wall was torn down. So the Cold War was over. So he was the president during the end of the Cold War.
The Cold War continued. However, in 1985, when Mikhail Gorbachev became leader of the Soviet Union, Reagan saw an opportunity for peace. The two leaders agreed to reduce their stockpile of nuclear missiles. Reagan is famous for his speech at the Berlin Wall, where he said to Gorbachev, Mr. Chairman, tear down this wall. 2 years later, in 1989, the Berlin Wall separating communist East Germany from democratic West Germany was torn down. The Cold War was over.
All right. So how did President Reagan die? He became sick from Alzheimer's disease in his old age. And he died at his home in Bel Air, California on June 5th, 2004. And right here you see his wife, Nancy Reagan, at his funeral.
How did he die? Reagan became sick from Alzheimer's disease in his old age. He died at his home in Bel Air, California on June 5th, 2004.
All right, comprehension question. What was Ronald Reagan's economic policy called? What did they call it? A, Reaganomics, B, Blitzkrieg, or C, Ronald McDonald? It was A, Reaganomics is what it was called.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number two, what college did Reagan go to during his early years? A, North Carolina, B, South Carolina, or C, Eureka College in Illinois? It was C, Eureka College. He played a lot of sports for Eureka College and was the student body president.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number three, what was Reagan's profession before becoming president? A, he was an actor. B, he was a salesman. Or C, he was a teacher. A, he was an actor. He was a movie star during that time.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number four, what was the name of the war that Reagan helped end with Mikhail Gorbachev? A, the Hot War. B, the Cold War. Or C, World War II. It was B, the Cold War. He helped bring it to an end with Mikhail Gorbachev, the Soviet Union
Ding,
leader.
ding, ding. We have a winner.
And that was all of our comprehension questions. I will see you all next time. We'll be talking about the collapse of the Soviet Union. You all have a very good day.